Welcome to the 2016 Be the Change interview series. I'm so excited because this year I am really, really feeling this series, and I'm glad I started it a while ago, and I get to bring it back this year, and I have some amazing guests. So I'm going to introduce you to my guest. Her name is Anika, and I met Maya via Twitter. Go figure. And I have been following her ever since and just been following her blog and her advocacy. But she's going to tell you so much more about the work that she does. So welcome, Maya. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. So, my name is Maya Anika. I am an artist based in Atlanta, born and raised, a Grady baby and everything. And I started doing some different exercises with mental health and self-care while I was still in school. And when I graduated, that just became a takeover activity. It just moved from being just something I did to de-stress during exam periods to something that I could see as a lifestyle. It's something to expand into all areas. And started doing some on-hands work with some different organizations in the Atlanta area. And yeah, I just really want us all to be healthy. Art heals broken places.
Awesome. I love that. Art heals broken places. I think that's a perfect segue to my big key question. You know, those who are coming back again, they know what's coming. But what does be the change mean to you? Because when I heard that phrase, I was like, oh, I can feel that one coming in this one somewhere. So what does be the change mean to you?
For me, being the change is taking on that agency that we have, because we're all created on purpose. We're all here to fulfill a very specific purpose, and to your life, in my opinion, is giving glory to God. And the way that you can do that, no matter where you're at in your walk, is to know that you've been gifted to do a very specific thing while you're here. No one on this earth is put to be here to just passively exist. And so being the change for me means it means pushing for change in the places that it needs to happen. It might mean social reforms. It might mean a positive uplift of a community. It might mean bringing people together, but ultimately, like, making connections and making significance has to do with you being active and pursuing those different things that are purposeful for you. And so when I say art heals broken places, I've noticed that whether it's writing or music or drama or there are any ways in which we get in touch with that ability to create your own reality, to literally like mold it and shape it and make something for yourself that's beneficial to other people.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that's such a great way to look at things. I mean, we've heard so many times the phrases of, you know, art, art is driven by society or society is driven by art. And I think it kind of goes both ways sometimes. So art healing broken places and being the change. I love it. I love it. So can you tell me a little bit more about the work that you do as an artist and an advocate?
Yes, so I may go and teach a group of kids how to paint, or might volunteer with a couple organizations in the area that like Chop Art. They work with children and teens that experience homelessness and give them ranges of expression and give them an outlet. But then I also like paint my feelings, like the stereotype goes. I try to bring a spotlight to different things that I've struggled with. I've struggled with clinical depression or anxiety, so I can recognize some of the signs of other people. So it might be in my work, but I also just sort of push for especially creative folks and entrepreneurs to give themselves like a break. Um, and I just do different work in the community, bringing about, resources or connecting with other groups I know that might be trying to push for like using arts to push social change, like this group called Culture Fix. They're also based on Twitter. We're actually having a chat for that in a couple of hours at 3 p.m. We're talking about mental health and creativity, for example. I do a lot of work collaborating with others because I really believe that together we can do so much more than just one person by themselves.
Awesome, awesome. I love that you said that, because for a while, and I don't want to assume that you're a millennial or anything, but I am a millennial. So I'm one of the older millennials, but I still somehow fit into the millennial, whatever it is, bracket. There we go. And for a while when the magazines were coming out talking about millennials, they were calling us Generation Me. However, to hear you, kind of say that we can do so much more when we come together, as I like to say, when we combine our unique superpowers, our USPs, there's so much more can get done. And I think that is amazing. So you talked about a little bit of collaboration, you as an artist kind of going out and collaborating with other organizations. And I am familiar with Chop Art. And guys, if you're watching this, I actually interviewed Chop Art for Be the Change. I had about 4 of them.
Oh, that's great.
I cannot remember which year. I apologize, but it's all here on my YouTube channel. So you can go catch that interview as well. But I think that's hilarious. That wind up having that the intersection. But speaking of collaborating with organizations like them, as well as you doing this chat with Culture Fix, and what is that hashtag Culture Fix? That way we can follow it regardless of when when our viewers watch this. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So let's talk more about collaboration. Business owners and grassroots organizations and advocates and artists, how can we kind of come together more, as individuals from these different platforms coming together to form something that can truly create a real impact, that can really be the change together?
I can speak from this budding experience I'm having right now, and everything boils down to relationships. So, what you always want to do is build a rapport with someone else based off of your interactions with them. Like, for example, I talked to you on Twitter. Or engaging in the things that they're interested in, so that your common ground isn't how do we make this money, or how do we rally around just this very particular cause and interest, and how do we build a social media following for one another. I mean, those are bits and pieces that come with the whole package, but it's really about, at the key core of what it is that I'm doing, does this fundamentally line up with what I believe, what I value? Do we value the same things? Do we have resources to really help one another? And coming to the table with that sort of a thought, like, is this a problem that we're solving? Is there like a goal and aim? And do we like each other? Do we have the same ethic? Will this work out? It's really a matter of understanding at the root what it is, so that you're not just doing what's convenient. You're being purposeful.
Awesome. Now, I know that I'm lifting my arm up yeah. I know that there are, artists out there, and they're trying to find meaning and purpose with their work, with their art. And being an artist and being an advocate are not always necessarily something that is kind of, combined.
Yeah.
So what kind of made you want to go, yes, I'm an artist, and yes, I'm an advocate? And how does one get started with advocacy as an artist?
I think that you could just, like with most things, you really just have to know to ask questions. And being that I've been on the other side of the psychiatric bench, so to speak, and receiving care and different things like that, I know I didn't have my experiences and overcome them in order to just keep that information to myself or keep that knowledge to myself. And I know that in particular in the Black community, we have a whole culture of silence centered around mental illness. It's like we have to safeguard and protect ourselves from each other almost, but or safeguard the family legacy, or we didn't have a name for it and things like that. So, it became a key part of my work when I had to work with myself, like using it as an outlet. And then, so I guess my advice for someone who wants to advocate is find other advocates, find other people who are doing what you might think you might want to do. I know that I want to be an art therapist. I am going to be an art therapist. So advocacy was the middle path for me to see what it is, who I want to work with, and how I want to really facilitate that. And this is taking me in a whole different sort of journey altogether than just going straight to school. There's NAMI, Nami, and I think it's the National Alliance of Mental Illness. I have to fact check me on that, but
That's correct.
They're a really great organization that keeps people connected. I know I've met a couple of peer support specialists and different people through that, but it's pretty easy to get involved. Just have a desire to share resources with those who you don't think get them, or to see how you can open up channels for access.
Awesome.
That's what I've learned anyway.
Awesome. And I think that's sometimes the toughest question to answer, because we all have so many things that we want to do, but we get stuck on where to start. So I'm glad that you
have multiple passions.
Yes. Yes. I'm glad that you brought up NAMI, and I'm like, is it NAMI or NAMI? NAMI.
Not exactly sure. Maybe it just depends on how you were taught to pronounce A. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's true. And I am actually a NAMI member here in New Jersey.
What?
So, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. I went to the New Jersey conference and everything, but some people were saying NAMI, and some people it's kind of tomato.
You might pronounce California like.
Look, the National Alliance on Mental Illness might be a great place to start, guys.
Twitter's a great place to start.
Yes.
Like, you could do a Google search for local mental health programs, or you could do a search for organizations that do it, but I use Twitter for almost everything connection-wise, because everything there happens pretty organically or not, because everything goes by so fast. It's only 140 characters. So I know I found mental health chat that way. I found people through different chats and conversations. Just find the people who are interested in what you're interested in. Find people who are talking about what you love. If you're trying to do advocacy for teens that experience depression, find people who are talking about it or want to talk about it. And something I definitely remember and took away from like the Black Creative Chat yesterday is like, look, there's not a space already for you, then go create it. Like, make the room for yourself, because you're not the only one, and you never know how much you're going to impact somebody else.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's so true. I think so many times, especially when we're talking about mental health, a lot of people who are still suffering with their mental illness or mental health disorders, whether they're diagnosed or not, it could be something that was kind of mild and it's there, but they haven't addressed it. They believe that they're alone and they're unique in within that disorder or suffering, when there's a lot of people out there who are out and about with it, who are actually talking about their daily struggles publicly, so that other people
Mhm.
will know that they are not alone. And that seems to be a really big message within the mental wellness community, is to tell people you are not alone.
One of the biggest things I've gotten is that as we continue to tell our stories, um, talk about the ways that we engage with this, and then share that work and share each other's work, then it'll reduce the ignorance that people have about either the illnesses themselves or what the people like day-to-day life might look like. And even change some of the language, because it can either be super medical and labeling and like isolating, or isolating in the other way, like when you call people crazy. Like, you can't just do that. There are triggering circumstances. You have to understand some different things. I mean, storytelling creates empathy and can even push for action. You can see that with just a couple of GoFundMe pages.
Very true. Very true. Awesome. Awesome. Great pieces of advice, Maya. So this is the part where I get sad, because I'm looking and I'm like, I know Maya is a super busy woman and she has other places to go lend her voice and wisdom. So before we head out, could you just leave us with just one final actionable piece of advice that you can give someone who's watching today, um, who may want to take up a cause or be an advocate?
Let's do your research. I guess that's the best way I can put it, because it's basically more than one step involved there. But just do your research, do your Googles, look up the things that already exist and see if you can connect with what's there. And if not, then, pivot in another direction. But find people who have the experiences that you're looking to build for yourself. Um, Shoot an email, do research to know that, taking it matters. Be kind. Be kind always, because you never know who you're encountering, what they're walking through. So be kind to the people that you encounter, even if they're different from you, because you never know what difference that might make. If you encourage somebody in 1 second, you never know if you might have talked them off of a proverbial ledge or something. And I've experienced it to know, like, it's super important. So just be nice.
I
Show
love
love.
it. Awesome. Awesome. Maya, thank you so much for joining me today. And everyone, I hope that you got some great tips from Maya. We left some great hashtags there for you. If you're not involved in Twitter, even if you don't have a Twitter account, you can easily look up those hashtags and see who's talking in those conversations, and that could be your starting point for your research, so that you can reach out and connect to them. Like I said, Maya and I actually did meet on Twitter, and from just regular Twitter chat, I think it was mental health chat actually. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Went to from there to an email to her being here. So, oh, thank you for putting those hashtags there. I'm going to put it on the in the YouTube video as well, so that it'll be there, and I'll put it on the blog as well, so that you can get access to that. And you'll also be able to get Maya's information, so that you can stay in touch with her, or if you want to reach out to her after this interview, her contact information will be on the blog, so that you can connect. And that's what this is about: connection, connection, connection. Because with this connection, we're stagnant, but with connection, we can be a change. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And until the next time, Peace.
Thanks for having me.